This video highlights a simple yet effective call-to-action design improvement that works exceptionally well for product recommendation listicle post types. The call-to-action layout I'll share in this video has consistently proven over time to command users' attention and driven higher click-through rates for more than 85% of my affiliate recommendations and doubled their earnings accordingly. If this sounds good to you, then keep watching. But please note that while this may be a proven design strategy, it is not a one-size-fits-all solution. This video is solely for inspirational purposes, as you may choose to replicate this same result, or you can draft something unique that aligns with your site's design style and branding. Just a quick heads up before we start. Most of what we'll be doing in this video will be created and styled using Elementor Page Builder. So if you'd like to learn how to create this blog layout, a link will be provided in the video's description. To recreate this, I've opened an empty blog post with Elementor, and it adopts this look because it's been dynamically conditioned to this layout using Elementor's theme builder. Let's begin by adding a single Flexbox container to our post, then make its content full width. Before adding the featured product image within this container, I recommend removing the padding automatically set to its sides. To do this, open the Advanced tab and set its padding to 0 pixels on all sides. Let's assume this was the first product recommendation I wanted to discuss. I could use the Chrome extension Awesome Screen Recorder and screenshot to capture its visible part, save the image to my device, and upload it to this site. Speaking of which, let's head back to the Widgets panel and add the image widget to this container. This should be followed by choosing the featured image highlighting the hero section for the product recommendation we took a screenshot of earlier. Let's make the image resolution full, and now we can proceed with adding borders to the sides of this image as shown on the reference page. With the image widget still selected, head to the Advanced tab and add 2 pixels padding to its sides. Now we can approach adding a border around this image using either the container or the image itself. For this demonstration, I'd be going with the former, so select the container, switch to the Style tab, open the border options, and make the border type solid with a 4 pixels border width. While experimenting with border colors to use across all featured sections, I decided to settle on one of the prominent colors within each image. By so doing, it makes them all distinctive, allowing each featured recommendation to stand out from the others. To achieve this, simply select the color sampler icon, and with that you can click on any part of the image to identify the range of colors available within it. So, take your pick and let's move on to the next step. According to statistics, visitors are 28% more likely to click on a call to action button than on an image or hypertext link. That's why we have this button attached to this section to maximize the number of clicks we get when users browse through our content. To recreate this, we have to add a new container underneath the first. As you can tell from the reference design, we'd be using 2 columns for this layout. Once that has been added, let's make the container full width. This should be followed by removing the padding set to its sides by default. To maintain this design style for both containers, I'll be adding a border around this container, excluding the top as that has been covered by the container above it. So switch to Style, open the Border tab, and change this to solid while adding a 4 pixel border width to all sides. Considering we now have a total of 8 pixel border width in between these containers, let's unlink these values and set a 0 pixel border width to the top. This should be followed by changing its color to match this look. Moving on, let's head back to the Widgets panel and add a button to the first column. This should be followed by choosing a call to action text that makes the most sense for the product you are recommending. And don't be afraid to add a little bit of FOMO, a sense of urgency or discounted offers to this text. For its icon, I'd be choosing an external SVG icon for this. You should find a link to that in the video's description. Moving on to style this up, let's leave its alignment set to the left. For its typography, I'd make its family Poppins. Its size set to 14 pixels, and the weight set to 400. Now let's make the button's background color the same as this section, followed by adding a 2 pixel border radius to all sides. For its padding, unlink all values here and make the top and bottom 20 pixels. And for its left and right, let's make that 30 pixels. It goes without saying that we also need to add a hover effect to this call to action button. So switch to the hover options, and instead of choosing one of these hover animations, I recommend sticking with slightly darker color tones in line with this section's primary color. so take your pick, and we just have to drag this down a little to make it darker. Before making final edits to these columns, let's make one little change to the button using the Advanced tab. This is optional, but I'd recommend you change the button's width to inline and its alignment to the center. Upon a closer look at this first column, while this might seem like we have excess padding set to the bottom of this container, when we take a preview of this page by closing the editor, we should be able to see how this truly looks on the front end. Although this can be remedied by adding a spacer widget into the second container. As we wrap things up, let's reduce the width of the first container to 45%. Next, I'd want to add a 4-pixel border width to the right side of this container. So switch to Style, open the Border tab, make the border type solid, unlink all values, and add 4 pixels to the right. Again, changing this to the corresponding color. Lastly, let's head back to the Layout tab of this container to make the min height 100 pixels and justify its content to the center. Now that we are done with styling this call to action, let's talk about device responsiveness. While this is bound to look good across all devices, you may have to adjust the font size for the call to action text starting from the laptop's responsive design down to that of mobile. I'd wrap this up by switching to the mobile responsiveness and begin with hiding the second container underneath using the responsive tab under Advanced. This should be followed by getting rid of the border set to the right side of this container. To do so, switch to Style, open the Border tab, and set the border width for all sides to 0 pixels. And this is what we get after previewing the changes. Making final edits to this container, let's remove the padding automatically set to its sides. Finally, decrease the container's min height to 80 pixels. And that's it. You can save this as a template and use it wherever the need arises. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.